I know that I can't be the only one who thinks this is just like a little bit excessive, you know? We're all out here like freaking out about fast fashion and like consumerism, oh no, but only when it has to do with the fashion industry, and as soon as it's anything else, we suddenly just like don't care anymore. Sorry guys, but consumerism is a society-wide thing that spans over every single industry. We can't just stop at fashion if we actually want to stop consumerism. I'm throwing around words like consumerism, but what is consumerism? So consumerism is an idea usually held and upkept by a society that consuming or buying more stuff will bring you happiness, will help the economy, and can even be intrinsic to your identity or status within this society. The United States and most first world countries are highly consumeristic. Shopping is seen as a fun recreational activity, and the usefulness or value that each item actually brings or doesn't bring into your life is rarely taken into account. It's sometimes just about the joy from buying the thing and less so about the actual thing. Overall, the vast degree to which consumerism is a thing, from everything from Squishmallows to like housing, means that it overall brings a lot of financial stress for really a nominal amount of happiness in the grand scheme of things. But consumerism, despite its many, many negatives, is upkept both by the people in the society as well as the businesses, who obviously profit by consumerism, so they do everything in their power to upkeep it. People upkeep consumerism in a variety of ways. Some things are kind of out of our control. So the dopamine rush that you get when you buy something, you can't really control that. And the many ways that businesses upkeep the consumerist society mindset, I don't know, that's largely out of the average person's control. However, we also very much so glamorize consumerism. We see it glamorized in terms like retail therapy, or just the way that we very much so continue to let the amount that people consume dictate their status or the way that we see them. We also very much so don't like giving up this way of living. So again, with fashion, people criticize fast fashion, and rather than actually consuming less, they just do thrift hauls instead of fast fashion hauls. And while yes, this is progress, you have to understand that it fails to get rid of the actual core of the problem, which is consumerism. It just changes the means in which you're doing that consumption. As a culture, we place a lot of our identity into consumerism and consumption. It's kind of really bizarre to me, but consumption in the US is linked to how American you are or how patriotic you are. So this kind of started during the 1950s, where it was very much so sold to Americans that in order to be a good American, they had to keep up with the newest tech and had to buy all of the newest and latest things. This was largely because they were coming out of the Great Depression and World War II, so there was a genuine economic incentive and boost from the amount that people were consuming and from overall a bump in consumption. However, even after the economic benefits lessened and it wasn't really necessary anymore, this mentality never really changed. We also very much so tie our social status to our level of consumption. That's been true throughout history, but usually it would only be true for the richest of the rich. So yes, royalty would have these huge dresses to flex how much fabric they could buy, but between the working class, this kind of consumption wasn't nearly as common or as extreme. Even in the beginning of the transition to consumerism, the way that the working class participated was by buying objects that improved their lives or were actually helpful to them. So this was usually household items or household appliances. It was only even after the 1950s and as we start to enter the 21st century that we see it switch less so from buying useful items to just buying any item and buying for the sake of buying. I think a wonderful example of how we keep this up to this day, with both using it as a status symbol as well as it no longer being purely utilitarian, is the iPhone. Do you have the newest iPhone? Usually that means that you got rid of your old phone before it actually broke so that you could have the latest model. There's also a lot of phones that, like, if you look at the specs, are like better phones, and yet people still opt to shell out more money for the iPhone. And in a social realm, you will be seen as more wealthy or more affluent. And overall might be a little bit more respected in your peer group because you were willing to shell out that money and maybe didn't blink an eye at how much it was or anything like that. There's also a whole kind of group mentality around Apple products, where you very much so feel like you have to have all the Apple products, and like you're in this special group when you have the newest iPhone and stuff like that. So while I've been talking about the role that people play, businesses by far do the most to upkeep consumerism. The biggest way that they do this is advertising. They spend billions, which I feel like just doesn't encapsulate it properly. Like, they spend in the tens of billions on advertising, which never used to be a thing, and now it is. You could obviously be like, some of it's adjusting for inflation, but a lot of it is a change in culture, and there's way more advertisements being seen by us now than ever would have been acceptable before. Even in just children alone, it is $15 billion spent on advertising to kids. Advertising continues this narrative that in order to live an ideal lifestyle, you have to consume more stuff. It can either be that our current lifestyle is not good enough or is lesser, so we need the stuff, or just glamorizing the life that you could have if you bought that stuff. It's everywhere. Advertising is everywhere. And already our modern lives very much so force us to use a lot of willpower every day, and despite what these dudes will tell you, your willpower is a muscle, and that muscle eventually will give in. So back to what was meant to kind of be the purpose or general theme of this video, Squishmallows are a very safe way to kind of give in to advertising and give in to just buying stuff. On their own, they're pretty affordable. They're pretty harmless. I mean, this ain't heroin. They're not a consumable. You get to keep it forever, unlike heroin. And I even use them as pillows, so like they're even more useful. It's pretty easy to see how this could be a great outlet for your consumerism. Squishmallows also use a lot of advertising techniques, even if not intentional, but they end up using it. One is fear of missing out. On Instagram, I keep seeing people like freak out about missing a certain launch because of how quickly they sell out. There also can be this want to have a very specific Squishmallow because like each of them is like kind of unique in different ways, or you want a certain animal. I think the more extreme example of this is how people like try really hard to get every single one in like every single size. Like that one's a little bit extreme to me, but they go off, I guess. So it very much so gets you to want to buy more and more and more. And especially on like some of those extreme collections, I don't think that the 1 inch difference is actually going to meaningfully improve your life. If anything, spending at that point upwards of a couple $100s on Squishmallows could very much so be negative on your life. However, people have this collector's mindset. The collector's mindset, like I was kind of alluding to before, it definitely plays into this whole idea of, I just need this one more and then I'll be happy, or I'll get this one and then I'll be done, I don't have to buy any more stuff, which is never true. And similarly, you will never just be 5 minutes more. You will be up until 3 a.m. playing games or scrolling on social media. I might even be the rabbit hole that YouTube chose for tonight's consumption. The collector's mindset gets you into thinking of buying things purely for novelty. It completely removes any utility out of the thought process when buying things or anything more substantial. It's purely about the novelty or the uniqueness of it, which again is very like dangerous place to be, because then you can just start buying anything and you lose a lot of control. It also can mean that what you're buying isn't actually very substantial or actually gonna bring you that much joy or use or long-term happiness. And like some people kind of compare that like consumption and overconsumption is human nature. We've always been greedy. But usually in the before times, our greediness was based off of filling our basic needs and a lack of access to things to fulfill those needs. So before, I didn't like this rock because the rock is pretty. I liked this rock because this rock opened coconut. And coconut has food, and food I need to survive. We also see, because we are very social creatures, that communities were born, and I have extra coconut, I share coconut with other people. But nowadays, we consume for the sake of consumption rather than because we need to fill something. We also largely have most of our basic needs covered from day to day, and yet we're still greedy and try to have more of certain things. So I think it's not necessarily just a human nature thing, but very much so something that's been built up from our culture, from advertising. It's not natural. Our world is fully constructed at this point around consumption. Now, let's get a little bit more specifically into Squishmallows because, again, it's not clickbait, I swear. Just like advertisers, let's start with children. Squishmallows, while online, the community is largely teens and young adults, but I would hazard to say the target audience is kids, and kids still probably make up a significant portion of that audience, just by the nature of them being adorable, cute plushies. Now, the culture around consumerism starts when you're a kid. Kids are pretty easy to advertise to, as one, they don't earn money, so they don't really fully realize the value of it, or that you should save your money, or X amount of money should get you X amount of product or fulfillment. Like, they don't understand money, they don't care, they just want thing, they get thing, or they don't get thing and they're mad, because they don't really get why. Two, they don't have critical thinking skills, so they're pretty easy to sell really shitty product to, and they don't really need to find much value in that product. And they won't pick up on manipulative advertising tactics because, again, no critical thinking. Oof. Imagine being baby. Three, if you're doing it right, you have a loyal customer for life. So I think McDonald's is the biggest culprit of this. They largely target kids, and then people just keep going because they have nostalgia and good memories, and even though it's way too overpriced and just not good for you, we still go because, I mean, like, damn, I want them cheeky nugs. Alright, get me my cheeky nugs. And I think Squishmallows also, to a degree, prey on nostalgia. I know I'm painting out Squishmallows as a villain. Consumerism is the villain, alright? Squishmallows, they're great, I gotta be honest. To a degree, all plushies and kind of those things that are slightly more advertised to an older audience as well as a younger audience prey on nostalgia, and you feel good and happy and are reminded of good times in your life when you look at plushies. How they look and how we feel that rush of dopamine whenever we see something cute, that's really interesting. How that plays into things and how that happens. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. We get joy every time we look at this, so we associate this thing with joy, which then, like, okay, then I'm more likely to buy it. They're just very easy to consume. You don't really have to research anything, you don't have to think about it too hard, you can just be like, buy. So again, you just will kind of, it's an easy thing to consume. Now, despite the fact that we will get a dopamine rush, sometimes even while we're using or consuming a product, as well as when we buy the product, we do the act of buying something, our consumer society nets us a negative. It leads a lot of people into debt, and which is renowned for causing such fun things as stress and divorce and health issues. We can also see that because of how consumerism drives our society, and our society is very much so capitalist first, we're in late stage capitalism, baby. That then leads to a bunch of other negative effects to our general lifestyle and quality of life. We, because of advertising, are constantly sold this idea that our lives aren't enough. And while the advertisements say that when we consume more, we'll get to that place where our life is enough, that's not true. Like, we never actually get to that point, and those advertisements will just find a new thing to sell us so that we're just on a wheel. We're just on a wheel, and we never actually get to that life that we're told that we should have, and that, oh, well, I must be doing something wrong. I must be not getting the right thing. When in reality, it's just the narrative that we're being told. So that has been how we largely see consumerism in our lives and some of the ways it affects us. But again, if you want part 2 where we kind of talk about some more of the effects as well as some of the ways that we could potentially change on a more wide scale level, check out that in 2 to 3 days. I say 3 days, but I don't actually know how I should count the days. But again, you can turn on post notifications so that it doesn't matter how you count the days, you'll get notified when that video is out, as well as any other videos that I make. My YouTube pitch is over. I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see y'all later. I can't really finger gun, it kind of hurts, but I'll be fine. I need the waters. It looks like water will fall from the sky soon.